With the cost of everything from groceries to gas constantly creeping up, our daily decisions carry a heavier weight than they used to. We tend to scrutinize our major purchases, researching and budgeting for the big-ticket items. However, the true drain on our finances is often hidden within the small, unexamined habits we repeat every day. This brings us to the practice of intentional consumption. This framework looks past what we put in our shopping carts and focuses on how we use the resources already in our possession. While it's easy to see the physical burden of a cluttered closet, we often overlook the invisible toll of our unthinking, repetitive motions. Over weeks and months, these tiny habits compound. They chip away at our bank accounts, eat up our free hours, and introduce a steady, quiet friction into the background of our minds. When we ignore the frequency of these minor actions, we create a constant leak in our overall resources and the flow of our lives. To see exactly how this works in practice, let's look at a very specific, mechanical part of our daily routine, the gasoline in our cars. We often get caught up in trying to save a few pennies per liter. We track prices and download apps to find the best deal. Yet this hyper-focus often creates a blind spot regarding our larger behavior. We deliberately drive across town, sit in stop-and-go traffic, rush through yellow lights, all to reach a station with a slightly lower price. The math reveals the flaw. You secure a tiny sliver of savings per liter, but burn a massive volume of total fuel getting to that pump. Expanding the data, those minor savings are completely eclipsed by lost hours and a cumulative spike in mental pressure. This suggests we should stop asking where is gas cheaper and start evaluating the wiser overall choice. The frantic chase for a tiny discount at the pump often becomes the exact mechanism inflating our daily stress and overall consumption. The true efficiency of a trip is actually established long before you reach the gas pump. We burn resources through the physical decisions we make behind the wheel. Sudden, heavy acceleration off a green light forces an engine to dump excess fuel while gaining very little actual time. Similarly, rushing leads to sharp braking. When you aggressively hit the brakes, you destroy the forward momentum you just spent gas money to build. Then there are the passive drains, like idling with the engine running in a drive-through line for 15 minutes to get an order that could have been retrieved on foot in 2. We see this spatial trap in the grocery store parking lot as well. We slowly creep in endless circles around the first 2 rows, determined to secure the spot closest to the doors. This map tracks that exact behavior. Tracing these chaotic, overlapping loops reveals that circling brings significantly more energy than simply taking a short walk from the back of the lot. Ultimately, your actual fuel efficiency is governed by the micro decisions made behind the wheel, which carry more weight than the listed price at the pump. The efficiency of a routine is often dictated by the sheer frequency of trips rather than the total distance traveled. Think about the uncoordinated rhythm of a typical weekend afternoon. We take a quick trip to the hardware store, return home, realize we need something from the pharmacy, and immediately leave again. This timeline visualizes the compounded waste of overlapping errands, showing 3 separate, unplanned trips radiating back and forth from the exact starting point. Applying a little foresight transforms this. Connecting those destinations into one continuous, circular route completely eliminates the redundant mileage. Saving resources requires mental coordination before any physical movement begins. Failing to intentionally coordinate how we move through our days is a direct plan for resource failure. Many of our daily habits feel like convenience in the moment, yet they quietly accumulate costs over time. We speed up or cut corners to shave off seconds, often without considering the long-term trade-off. These choices create a constant state of internal friction. While we focus on the external goal of arriving quickly, our bodies absorb the stress of the process, leaving us agitated regardless of what the clock says. In the commute, this manifests as a frantic drive to catch every green light. We operate under a white-knuckled illusion that aggression equals efficiency. I felt this tension firsthand one morning while trapped in a bottleneck. I sat there watching the dashboard clock move forward, feeling a mounting sense of panic that I had no way to resolve. My mind was already at the office, trying to make up for lost time. Physically, I was just sitting in a seat, but I was arriving at my destination tired and tense before the workday had even started. We spend immense mental energy chasing 10-second gains on the road. By the time we park, we've often spent more in cognitive fatigue than we saved in minutes. Changing this dynamic started with one specific adjustment: leaving the house 5 minutes earlier. That small buffer changed the physics of the drive. The need to rush disappeared, and the immediate result was a measurable drop in heart rate and a more relaxed posture behind the wheel. With the pressure removed, it became easier to maintain a steady pace. I was no longer fighting the flow of traffic, I was simply moving within it. This is a psychological domino effect. When the first block moves to create space, every subsequent decision in the chain becomes easier to manage. Creating that margin at the very start of the journey changes the logic for every mile that follows. This shift translates into direct physical actions, like reaching speed gradually, rather than flooring the accelerator at every green light. It's the difference between smooth momentum and the costly cycle of accelerating just to stop again at the very next red light. You start noticing the phantom weight, the heavy items sitting in the trunk just in case. Removing that extra load reduces the mechanical work required for every mile you drive. Even cooling the car changes. You might seek out a shaded spot or roll down the windows for a minute instead of automatically cranking the air conditioning to its maximum setting. Moving from a reactive state to a proactive one reduces the mechanical wear on the vehicle and the physical strain on the driver. Dismantling these stressful patterns doesn't require a radical lifestyle change. It happens through these small, deliberate shifts in how we handle routine tasks. Awareness is the primary tool for this change. Once you notice the physical tension of a rushed commute, it becomes much easier to choose a different pace. This is a way of using what we already have, our time and our tools, with more intention and less waste. The most significant mental and financial savings are determined by the decisions made at home, before the engine is even started. The way you feel at the end of the day often depends on the choices you make before you even reach for your keys. I've shared some resources in the description if you'd like to look deeper into these habits. In the meantime, have you identified a small daily routine that is costing you more than you realized?